Fall of Avalon is a remarkable game if you are a forgiving person. You don't have to be too forgiving, but you do have to step into this new journey that you're going to take. And it is quite a journey because it rivals like the depth of an Elder Scrolls game, but I emphasize an older Elder Scrolls game. It doesn't hold the candle to the length in like Starfield, for example, which is a newer Elder Scrolls games. We can go back and forth about the quality of both games, and we'll be here all day. But you do have to be forgiven to play this game. Not a lot because it's still a good game, but it's definitely a double A game. What does that mean? Double A, triple A, 1A. I'm not even sure if there's 1A games. I've never heard the term before. Maybe mid, as the kids say. But double A is like, it's not a huge studio. It's probably sizable indie studio that's you know, big enough to make a full featured production, but maybe not at the quality of a triple A production, where millions of dollars are spent into poured into the game, into sound stages and quality and little things that draw huge immersion, like actually flying out to real world locations, geographical locations, and doing some sound tests and mapping and some taking pictures. Fall of Avalon is none of that. It almost feels like a throwback to Oblivion, but it's like, imagine if Oblivion came out with Skyrim dynamics and Skyrim mechanics. That's what it feels like. It's an old school game with like a new school twist, and you can tell it's double A. Even though the things like the voice quality and the music I actually like. It grew on me at first when I heard the theme song of this game. I was like, "What the fuck is this?" Like it was like some guy chanting, but it sounded a little off at first. I was like, I don't know how to feel about it. I don't think I like it. But then it started to kick in, like the rhythm started to kick up and the tempo started to speed up. And I was like, hey, I kind of like this. Like now it grew on me. I love hearing it every time I boot up the game. I haven't played the game for too long. I don't even think it's been a full week yet. It's probably been, well, I think it's been a full work week actually. I think I booted this up Monday or Tuesday. And I've been playing it since. It's Friday today. So I would say a good 4 or 5 days. I've been playing this every time I get out of work, which by the way, that's the main reason why I haven't been putting out any of these videos, lately or whatever. I know the two of you guys are waiting with bated breath, but yeah, it's been crazy, like just straight busy learning new shit, new job, new profession, new place, new everything, man. It's just a lot of changes this month. But anyways, I digress. You do got to come into that mentality when you play this game that this is a AAA game. This is why I say forgiving, right? Like you're not gonna see the best graphics. You're gonna see some bugs. You're gonna see, especially when you kill enemies and a ragdoll effects, like they just spike into onto the ground and kind of flip flop around, or like the NPCs will talk to you, and then when you leave them be, you kind of turn around to look at them, and they'll like teleport across the room, and then just like if you're talking to a guy who's like being busy on a workbench and he just finished talking to you, like let's say you called him away from the workbench, he would like teleport back to that workbench and start doing workbenchy things, if that makes any sense. Things like that. The combat feels crisp, which to me is like it's probably it's a crowning achievement. It's the combat feels punchy. Feels like first person Dark Soulsy, like, if that makes any sense. It's very reactive. You can dash, you can block. I love games where you can dash and all that because it really makes you feel like a boss, man. Like when you're like, and also games that parry, like it makes you feel good when you can parry right at their attacks. It makes you feel really, it's immersive and also very skill based, and it makes you feel like, you're actually getting goddamn good. You know, it's not like you have a buff. Although I'm pretty sure there's buffs like that in this game, but it's not like you have a buff where you can just perfect parry every single time. I don't know. I haven't played that game that much. Maybe there is something along those lines. If you hear a lot of noise in the background, sorry, man. For like the last 20 minutes, it's been like police officers, or sorry, police cars just fucking sirens wailing. Of course they're gonna do it as soon as I start recording. Why would they not do that? And also the fan's on, so I was gonna shut off the fan to record this, but I'll die. We're in the middle of summer, and I would literally, my girl would she'll come home from work and I would be dead. If you're not the forgiving type, if you're one of those guys who are like, you want perfection, he can't stand glitches, you're not gonna like Fall of Avalon. It is. I can't call it low quality because it's not. Although I'm pretty sure there's some people out there who will. Those kids. I'm assuming they're kids. I pray that they're kids because if they're adults, Jesus help them. But those kids that be online and they're this game's trash. They just talk in extremes. It's never like, hey, this is actually pretty good, but this is also the problem. So it's like, this game's garbage. It's trash. It's the worst thing to happen to humanity. And you're just like, God damn, bro. If you're one of those people, you're not. No, obviously, you're not gonna like anything, let alone some fucking video game. But if you're one of those people you're a stickler for details, a stickler for quality, you probably should stick to something else, something like, dare I say, Ubisoft. I know some of you scoffed at that. Some of you even laughed. Some of you are probably writing even hate letters right now. But Ubisoft, say whatever you want, they do have quality games. You can say that, yeah, sure, they're empty. Yeah, you can say that they're, woke or whatever fucking tag you want to hit them with, but they do make quality shit. They do make games that are full featured, but that's because they have a higher budget. So it wouldn't be fair to compare a game like Fall of Avalon to an Ubisoft title. They're two different budgets, two different resources. So it's not fair. Either way, do I think it's a Skyrim killer like everyone says? No, I don't. Once again, a lot of this falls to quality, right? Bethesda has deeper pockets than Questline, which is this little Polish studio that made Fall of Avalon. So right off the bat, that already kind of, you know, you should be forgiving in that note. But also, Skyrim is what? 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 14 years old. Skyrim came out 2011, if I'm not mistaken. So it's 2025 now, so it should be about 14 years, probably possibly going on 15. So you got to understand, it is an old game, but even as old as Skyrim is, just such a well-made, top quality game that not only is it still enjoyed by many people today, it's still in the Steam charts. It's always there, never moves. It might move positions, but it's always in the chart somewhere. And that goes to show you that's a testament to quality. And Fall of Avalon is not that. It's not. Will it be in the future? Who knows? Will part two be? Now that they have a little more money from the success of Fall of Avalon, will a Fall of Avalon 2 or whatever they decide to name it, will it be a bigger budget, better production? I hope so. I do hope so. I would love to see that. But I think you would enjoy it if you like games. RPG games. Is it deep? Yeah, it's deep enough, if that makes any sense. It's definitely not a shallow game, but that's the theme. That's going to be the recurring theme for my conversations about this game. It's enough. Is it a lot? No. Is the map huge? It's enough. Is the sound quality good? It's enough. And to some people, that's going to bother them. Is the gameplay good? It's enough. Actually, I think the gameplay is a little higher than enough. I think it's above average, to be honest with you. But this game, Fall of Avalon, is just enough. Now, you may hear that and you may think that's a negative thing, that's a knock. It's not at all. You got to understand, you got to keep in mind that it is I'm not going to say mid tier, but it doesn't have the biggest budget. It's not of the highest production. So you got to keep that in mind, kind of like how you got to understand like Stalker 2. Yeah, is the game playable? Barely. I have no idea. A new patch just came out a couple days ago on top of another patch that came out today. Is the game playable now? I would highly doubt it. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. I don't know. But there's a war going on now. Fuck. What is the name of that studio? BMG Studio. I don't know. The people who made Stalker 2. GMC Studio. I don't know. They're from Ukraine. Obviously, there's a war going on over there, and they still managed to produce a game in the midst of all that. And that's amazing, even though the game is barely playable. Frustratingly so. You have to keep that in mind when you play Stalker. Like, at least there's a Stalker. At least one managed to come out after, what, God, 13 years or something along those lines? It's been quite a long time since the last version or iteration of I believe that's the word I'm using. I hope I'm using that correctly. Uh, the next Stalker game. The fact that we even got one at all is amazing. And then it's even more amazing when you find out that it was made in the middle of a war. That's like, whoa. But anyways, what I'm saying is like it's easy to be forgiving in that on that note because it is, it was produced under crazy circumstances. So like Fall of Avalon, I wouldn't say it was produced under those same crazy circumstances, but it is the fact that a big full featured game like this came out from an indie studio. You got to understand that like it's gonna have shortcomings, and you got to be understanding of that. You have to kind of keep that in mind as you play. If you do that, you're gonna have a great time. You're gonna have a great time. I'm gonna play it as soon as I finish recording this. I can't speak on it too much simply because it well, I haven't played the game as much. It's only been about good 4 days, barely a week. I dropped maybe 25 hours on it. I don't know exactly how much, but so I can't give you a full review. I should have probably led with that. Sorry, but yeah, this isn't a full review. This is most definitely like first impressions of the game. I do find myself craving it, and that's how you know you've got a good game. Like I just wrapped up Cyberpunk, and I do find myself one of the telltale signs that a game has its hooks on you is when you're craving for it, right? When you stop playing for a couple hours, whether it's because of work or maybe you were away on vacation, or maybe you were, I don't know, your girlfriend's house who hates video games, and that's not my that's not my situation, by the way. My girlfriend loves video games. Thank God. This is why I'm never leaving her. Never mind her cooking or that other thing she does. What is it? Love. She plays video games, and that's what I like. So I'm joking. She's great. I lost my original point to this. You crave video games. That's how I can gauge how great a game is. When I'm dreading video games, that's how I can gauge, a game's not great. And sometimes it's weird because it starts off with you craving it, and then it ends with you dreading it. And that can be because maybe you overstayed your welcome. Maybe you kind of like, all right, I got that. I can give you an example of that same similar situation. Two of them, two games, Starfield and uh, the Breath of the Wild, Zelda Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom. That's a fucking long ass title. The second Zelda game that came out on Switch. That doesn't help. So many fucking games came out on Switch for Zelda. Tears of the Kingdom. I believe that's the game, not Breath of the Wild, the sequel. That you already know. Anyways, those two games, it's not their fault. They're good games. Starfield, not the greatest game. It's all right. I can safely say Starfield was a good game. Was it a good Bethesda game? No. Was it a good game in general? Yes. Breath of the Wild is a good game outright. I think it's just a good game. That was my fault because I should have ended it. I played that game for 4 months straight. Sometimes for hours in a day. I was hooked. I really enjoyed it, but I should have left because by the fourth month, I was so fucking sick of playing that game. Like it felt like a chore, but my stupid possessed psycho brain is like, no, you can't spend $65 on the game and then just half-ass it, and for playing that game for 4 months straight it's not half-assing at all. But my crazy competitive brain tells me that. Same thing with Starfield. I ended up playing Starfield for like 250, 60 hours, something like that. And, I'm like, dude, I overdid it. I should not have played that game for that long. I shouldn't play that game, any game for that long. The only game that I was not tired of, as in recent memory that I finished and I was like, oh my God, I want to just live in this world, was Kingdom Come Deliverance. I thoroughly enjoyed that game during my second playthrough. So much so, I was like almost borderline depressed when I finished. I didn't want to let go. That barely ever happens. And here I am. I have part two, and I'm getting ready to play that in the future. That might be the next game after Tainted Grail. So yeah, I find myself thinking about this game when I'm at work or whatever. I'll go like, yeah, I can't wait to play that. That's gonna be a fun game. I look forward to it. It's kind of like a treat, when you get home from work. I wish I could speak on it more. A, I can't because I haven't played the game long enough, and two, I- it's I don't mean to sound mean, but you can pretty much summarize this game with these same. Give me 1 second. Sorry, someone's calling me. Okay, where was I? So to summarize Tainted Grail, I had to write this down, otherwise I would have forgot. I just got off the phone. To summarize Tainted Grail, it's a small scale Skyrim slash Oblivion. I don't want to just reduce it down to that, but that's like the best way I can say I can describe it, right? So like once you give a description, that description particularly, people kind of go like, "Oh, I got it." Well, some will go, "Oh," as in like, roll your eyes, and others will go, "Oh," like as in enticed. I would be the latter. You know, it's hard to continuously talk about it because if I didn't tell you that I was describing Fall of Avalon, you'll go like, "Oh, you're playing Skyrim." You know what I mean? Like it's got the otherworldly, supernatural, high fantasy vibes. It's got the spell. You can shoot spells with your left hand or right hand, and then use a one-handed weapon with your right or your left hand. You can kind of switch between the two. You can have both of them at the same time. Sounds like Skyrim. I hate the comparisons, but they themselves compare their own game. They, as in the developers, Questline, compare their own game, Fall of Avalon, to Skyrim all the time, and it's heavily influenced by it. That's they don't make a secret out of it, which is one of the reasons why I like this game because they're like, hey, look, we're gonna make like a Skyrim clone, and that's what it is. Of course, it's more than that. It's got its own thing, but it's like it is in the vein of Skyrim, but they don't hide it. They don't try to make it seem like, yeah, we could do it better, or like, we originated the like. No, no. It's got all the classic branching storylines. It's got the great open, airy soundtracks. It's just at a smaller scale, and that's all right if you are forgiving. If you're not, you're gonna go, "This is a fucking Skyrim knockoff. It's a piece of shit. I hope everyone dies." I hope you're not that guy. Don't be that guy. Give it a chance. Is it worth $45? No, it's not. It's the game is worth it. That the quality of the game is good. I can safely tell you that. Is the price tag a little too high? Yes, I believe this game would be perfect at. This is so subjective, right? $30 would be like the perfect price for this game. But I understand economy, inflation, which we're not even gonna get into that, right? Because those two fucking topics, man. Do I have some opinions on that? But taking today's economy into account, $45 is not the worst deal. So you can kind of and just know that you're getting a good quality game, not the greatest quality game, but you're getting a good quality game, and you can sink your teeth into this big piece of steak because there's a lot to do. Once again, think Skyrim. Lots of exploring, lots of quest lines. No pun intended. Lots of good snappy combat. Which to me, like I said earlier, is probably the best part of this game. It feels fun whacking people in the face with a hammer, or you know, a mace. Like it feels weighty. The combat feels like when you smash them over the head, they drop to the ground, like their whole body weight. Like, if I would imagine that's what it would look like if you really hit someone over the head with a mace. It doesn't feel all airy and light and lifeless like Elder Scrolls Online. That's one of my biggest complaints. I haven't played that game in a while, so maybe the combat has changed. But I remember the first couple times I played it, everything felt so the combat felt so light and airy. It's hard to explain. It's like you're swiping at them and they're barely reacting, and then you have these canned animations where they just drop to the ground the same way at all times, and it's like sometimes the animations are cool, sometimes you'll burn them up, sometimes they'll freeze. That's all cool and all, but it felt, I don't know, it just felt too. It felt like they treated like the animations of combat as an afterthought, which is something you shouldn't do considering that the vast majority of the time you're going to be in combat. So you should really emphasize, strengthen, reinvent, restructure, reanimate combat because that is literally the driving force of Elder Scrolls Online. So for me, to still play that game. Once again, I haven't played it for quite a while, so I can't speak too much on it. But the last few times I played it a few years ago, it surprised me. And I'm like, dude, all you do is fight in this game. Why is the combat so shitty feeling? It feels good enough, don't get me wrong, like switching between spells and all that, like it's snappy and all that. But sometimes it registers late. I understand that's like probably server problems. That could even be on my part with like my internet and stuff. But I don't know. I'm just saying it doesn't feel impactful. It doesn't feel like punchy. It doesn't feel like Did you get that last part? It doesn't feel like Or I don't know if that makes any sense. In this game, Fall of Avalon, it does feel like this game go that other game go no. I should have just that said that. I understand that you understand me. Whatever. That's the driving force of this game, obviously, because it is an Elder Scrolls clone, Fall of Avalon, and it's the highlight. It does not get old running around hitting shit in the face with a mace and also blasting their face with fireballs. So I'm glad that they emphasize that. And they also emphasize the ragdoll physics and chill effects when you freeze someone. Like they really like went on the quality of life of animations. I love that shit. And I understand that's like a personal preference, personally, of course, because that's what personal means. Uh, I just love when developers take the time and do little things, little quality of life things to make the game just great. Like I love stuff like when you play like, games that involve guns, whether they're war games, whether it's games like Cyberpunk, and then you see like little, when they reload, they kind of reload the way an actual gun would reload, and you'll hear like the shell casing drop, and it'll fly out of the chamber or whatever, and shit like that. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. I love seeing little details like that. What I don't fucking like though, that I absolutely hate, is the fact that you cannot see your fucking legs in first person. I hate that. I read somewhere that that's a difficult thing to do. I don't know if that's true or not, but supposedly it's hard to give your character legs in a game, in a first person game. Maybe someone out there can correct me. I don't know. But I remember reading an article about that before and laughing because I was like, is it really that fucking hard to give your character legs in first person view? I understand this game has third person view, but even the developers tell you it's like it's glitchy. It's kind of an afterthought, right? Because we originally conceived this game as a first person game, so we just kind of tacked on third person. It works, but like just know that it's not going to work well. This game was intended to play in first person view, which I thoroughly enjoy. But it's like, once again, come on, give me legs. I'm just a floating upper torso. If that, I'm really just floating arms. Like if the camera could back up and just see my guy walking around, it's just footstep sounds with no actual foot and like just arms, no torso, no head. Just it's weird. It feels like I'm just floating everywhere. I hate it. Uh, I do hope that that's something that they fix with maybe part two. I doubt they'll be able to do that with part one, with this one, Tainted Grail. Although, oh man, I would be blown away if they add legs. Can you imagine that? Update, legs. And then that's it. No quality of life, nothing, just legs. I would legit be fucking happy. I meant that as a joke, but I would really be happy. Like, I'll be at work because that's where I read most of my gaming news because, it's work. Why would you work? And I would be legit happy if it was just a legs update. So let's go. Make that shit happen. I'm looking forward to finishing this. I am going to finish it. I am going to finish it. Maybe the game gets, I don't know, surprising because right now I kind of feel like I know what's coming. Just and I mean that in a good way. I like what's coming. Don't get me wrong, but it is predictable in the sense of like, oh, I already know who kind of like they're staging the enemy, they're staging the good guy, like the main protagonist, they're staging the main antagonist. I kind of know where things are going. Maybe they'll surprise me and throw a curveball and go, holy shit, maybe introduce a new mechanic. I do see a book of some sort in my menu, I believe, one of my small little radial menus. I don't know what that means. Maybe that's more extra powers. Maybe it's a perk. Maybe it's just a bestiary or an extension of that. I don't know. But I'm looking forward to continue to. I'm looking forward and continuing to play this, and I hope that it doesn't disappoint. I don't think it will. If I was a betting man, I would think
I would bet that I would thoroughly enjoy this game to the end. But once again, it would be nice if I do get surprised and I do get the hey, this game was way fucking better than I thought, or it started off slowish and then kind of turned into a masterpiece. I'm not holding my breath, and I'm not saying that I don't have faith in them. I'm just saying that what you see what you get. You get what you see with. I was gonna say Cyberpunk. You get what you see with Fall of Avalon, right? It is a double A game, so it's like you can't sit there and give it wait with bated breath and give it such high lofty expectations. Well, with that said, I'm out of here. I'll talk to you guys in the next one.